Hello, everyone. I am Jeetu Patel. I'm the President and Chief Product Officer for Cisco, and I have with me some colleagues of mine that I'll introduce in a second. And we are doing something very unique and very exciting today. And so we wanted to make sure that rather than making it overly produced, I actually got the folks that were doing the work and share with you what it is that we're actually going to launch, because it's a very, very unique thing. We're really excited about it. We've been working on it for a while. And before I go into the details of it, let me actually just start by what is happening right now in the world of AI, because we're specifically moving from this world of, chatbots that answered questions intelligently for us to a world that's going to be far more agentic, where agents can conduct tasks and jobs almost fully autonomously. And as that happens, a whole set of assumptions are going to change. But the most exciting thing, which I think is frankly underhyped in AI, is the kind of problems that we can solve now are ones that we couldn't solve in the past. It's not, like a lot of times people think about what's the efficiency, can I get the job done faster? It's not about getting the job done faster. We will be able to imagine solving problems we couldn't solve in the past, because there's going to be original insights that get generated that are so exciting that'll completely change the way that a lot of domains are going to change. And the domain that we're going to talk about today specifically is how do you think about managing infrastructure, whether it be networking, whether it be security, whether it be observability, data with Splunk, all of the infrastructure that you have. How do we think about managing that in a completely discontinuous way? And so I have four esteemed panelists with me. Jason Nako, who I've worked with for about 4 years now, I think, right?
Yep.
But this is the first time we're seeing each other in person, because we've only seen each other on WebEx. So Jason's the designer for us. He's on the security team and was very engaged in this product that we're going to talk about today called AI Canvas. And so I'll walk you through Jason will walk you through what that product is. We have Lizzie, who is the product manager. And by the way that we're thinking about this is the composition of a product team is fundamentally changing in AI, where you have a designer, a product manager, Sangeeta the engineer, and Yuqing, who's the AI researcher, which is a new role that we have in this kind of composition. It used to be a three-legged stool. Now it's a four-legged stool in the way that it works. So I'm going to start with you, Jason. What is AI Canvas? What are we launching? Why is it significant?
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about it. Why are you so excited?
All right, I'm super excited about AI Canvas. What AI Canvas is, it's an immersive and dynamic command setter. It is a shared collaborative workspace. As designers, we've had these collaborative tools like Figma and Miro. Right. It's like that for IT admins, but this is even better. This is powered by the AI assistant, right? So, what we're solving today is remediating issues and addressing all these tickets. It's a pain, because there's multiple products, multiple tabs open. These tools don't talk to each other, right? And so it just too much time is spent trying to sort together different pieces of the puzzle. And what we're proposing here is just a brand new way for our customers to interact with their products. Mm-hmm. I think the agentic AI here, it's going to be personalized, it's going to be proactive, and it's going to be predictive.
And it's a way to manage your infrastructure with natural language and a generative UI, which is actually dynamically generating UI components.
Correct.
So it's not like you've built this screen from the ground up. Like, this is a screen that got generated by the AI model.
Yep. So what the AI Canvas is going to be able to do is pull all the information data from networking, security, cloud apps, put all of that into a shared focus area.
And it's a shared dashboard. That dashboard. So for example, the reason it's shared is because if I have two or three different personas that need to take a look at it, I can now collaborate with that.
Yep. You can invite them to the board, and then everyone's looking at the same information at the same time. Issues are solved in real time.
And so, Lizzie, how is this different from anything that's there in the market right now?
Well, how it's different is that, first of all, it's cross Cisco, And it's a visualization with really crisp data visualization so you can solve problems. And then it also has agents keeping everything fresh so you can go back and you can make sure there's a single source of truth, but it's staying up to date. It also provides, when you look at, and then we heard this from our customers, like when we were sitting and looking at the research, like it's really hard to hand the baton off from one ticket to another tier 2 to tier 1, and how do you have a single source of truth with all of the same data to resolve the issue faster? And so we brought in some components of collaboration that make it really different. And then lastly, probably most importantly, which I think is probably the most cool, is the Cisco Deep Network model, which is better than the base models because it's based on Cisco data. And
so
that's
we have
something.
a bespoke custom model for going out and solving these problems.
Yep. Right? Like,
and this is truly agentic, where this is an agent that is actually conducting a task on your behalf.
It can be, and it can be a dynamic run book. And there's a whole bunch of ways I think in the future we're going to learn with our customers and bring this all in.
Okay, you're going to show us a demo on this a little later.
I'm going to show you a demo.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. So Sangeeta, you're the head of engineering for this project. How long have you been at Cisco?
25 years.
25 years. And this is probably is this one of the coolest projects you've worked on?
Absolutely. Hands down the coolest project.
If it wasn't, would you tell me?
Absolutely, I would.
All right. What's different about the way this thing is working?
So first of all, it's an agentic system. And we use specialized models to meet the needs of this complex workflow that we're trying to solve. So this involves various specialized models for different use cases.
Yep.
So for example, we have a SFT model for the router, supervised fine-tuned model, in order to route queries to the right agents. Now the router discovers which agent has what skills with a skills registry. So that way now the router can send the query to the right agent to get the job done. On top of it, the agent may in fact use MCP to access the data that it needs.
Model Context Protocol.
Sorry, Model Context Protocol.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure that everyone follows as you're going through it, which is a protocol that was created for accessing data from different applications.
Absolutely.
By Anthropic, and is now open sourced, and we've actually adopted it.
Yep, that's right. Now coming to the troubleshooting aspects, we have actually leveraged human annotated reasoning traces in order to build our troubleshooting capability. So we have gathered them from subject matter experts at Cisco, we have gathered them from Cisco TAC, and soon we'll gather them from customers too. So this helps our model learn how to troubleshoot because we have human annotated traces, which will help the models learn. Besides helping the models learn, we also are using this in order to seed the system so that the system can easily troubleshoot some of the common use cases. So that's where we're starting. Now the model then generates a plan based on chain of thought reasoning in order to gather the data. So now we can go gather the data it needs in order to do this troubleshooting. So now that we have this data, let's present it back to the admin in a way that they can actually understand it and use it. So this is no longer about static charts or dashboards. This is in real time, dynamic, contextual UI that's generated. So it's specific to that particular use case, that particular problem that the admin is trying to solve at that moment. So AI Canvas is about making admins much more effective and efficient.
And it seems like you would do this cross-domain. So if I have something that I'm troubleshooting for an experience that someone had on an application, which might have something to do with a firewall setting, which might also have something to do with what's happening on my network, I would be able to cross-correlate the data sets across those three domains.
Absolutely.
Figure out what's going on, create a dashboard, maybe create multiple different views of the dashboard, take a subset of that dashboard and share it with the CISO, because you might want to share it with someone else, which is a different persona.
Absolutely.
And that all happens in a completely generative mode.
Absolutely. And that is what makes it super exciting.
Yeah.
And to take this further, we believe that the system will actually get better with time because we have implemented a reinforcement learning pipeline in order to learn from the AI canvas as it gets used. So with time, it's actually going to get better. And our deep network model that we alluded to earlier is actually going to get better from even where it is today with all the data that comes into the system.
So Yuqing, it seems like everyone's talking about the great work that the research team has done around this deep network model. What is a deep network model?
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about something truly transformatively that in the world of networking. Our new deep network model, what is it? I think you can think this is a specialist, just like a doctor, a specialist, that AI model uniquely trained and purposely built for the complexity of networking domains. That's it. Of course, we start from the leading open weights model, even closed weights model, test all kinds of use cases, and we quickly found out they are very good for general purpose, but they are too general, not good enough for our complex and demanding world of networking problems.
The way I try to say it to people is you shouldn't use the same model for writing poetry as for solving a cybersecurity problem.
Exactly.
There might be some nuance there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Even the model is good at solving math problem.
Yeah.
It's not here.
Yeah.
We don't need that. So we recognize this critical gap and understood the urgency, and that we need our own language model that is expertly trained in network and designed from the ground up for practical real-world problem solving.
Why did we build a bespoke model?
This is not just the incremental improvement. It's actually an absolutely necessary revolution. Yeah. The great part is we have over 40 years of deep networking expertise and a huge amount of proprietary knowledge that we can leverage. So our AI research group took the open weights model, and we begin our journey of intensive innovation. In general, people call it post-training, but we have gone far beyond standard post-training. We infuse this model with vast wealth of networking specific knowledge. And we talk about over 3,000 Cisco University courses and incredible 30,000 question answers and countless sample of network architectures.
But the data set is still relatively small enough where it doesn't require a massive level of compute farm from a GPU perspective, right? Because how big is how many billion parameters was this model, the open weights model that you used? An 8 billion parameter model?
Yeah, we choose small to mid-size.
Small to mid-size model.
Yeah, we don't go
small level of bespoke data.
Yeah.
So it can run on a pretty small farm of GPUs.
Absolutely. Yeah. So start beginning, we knew we need to design it to be cost effective. And that's why our models ranging from small to mid-size models. For example, from 8 billion parameter to 30 billion parameters. We don't go to 100 billion parameters. That's why it gives us the flexibilities. So this model could be running on the edge devices, on local computers, or even go much more like air-gapped environment, such as industrial IoTs. So that's how we designed. So we do, thousands of Cisco U courses and tens of thousands of questions and answers, a lot of the special network architecture. And then we start actually, train the model to understand this real-world problem and learning from actual user questions, like IT tickets, complex network topologies, configurations, and even the log files. That's really, the textbook meets reality. And further beyond, we go push the boundary further by enhancing the learning with advanced reinforcement learning. Very sophisticated chain of thought reasonings, meaning they actually learn from mistakes, just like a human expert. And we pioneer innovative approach called test time scaling for smart and fast inference. So we also leverage our human SMEs. They added 3,000 reasoning traces, as well as rigorous annotate and validating our data and language model output. Just recently, we added 6,000 chunks of this data. It's really a testament of our with our principle to get everything precise and accurate and solving the real problem. So that's how we designed.
And what's the value that comes out of it?
For example, at this moment, we're already powering the Canvas, and we're running the runbook execution and tackling the starting point of the troubleshooting. The model actually can really understand and synthesize the network-specific nuances from cross entire hybrid network. As colleague mentioned, your network is not only just one type of product, could be range of things, could be security things. And so this will be able to synthesize the different data.
So it seems like you've done a very good job of building a bespoke model for the problem set. Yeah. What blew me away, Lizzie, was when the first time I saw this demo. This is a beautiful dynamic application that you folks have built that is something that is generating by itself. So why don't you show everyone what we've built here?
I would be happy to, and thank you for that. We worked really hard. We wanted it to be usable and understandable, and what we started with was, what is the problem? Like, why is it hard? And what we heard was that IT teams face growing complexity, lots of time spent trying to troubleshoot. So we decided to tackle troubleshooting first. I'm going to show you some real code, but remember, this is just the start, because we heard from our customers this is a pain point that we want to try and make easier. Yeah. And then there was just a lack of integration of data. So what you see here are our boards, and this is the start of AI Canvas. It's designed to streamline operations, and these are single sources of truth for different things. But let's start here with this ServiceNow ticket. Now, I'm going to click on this, and over time, what we want to do is have this auto load and auto populate, but this is, as I said.
And by the way, you're not showing a Figma file. This is a live demo, right?
This is a live demo,
so
hot off the press.
It could very much screw up, and we're going to keep rolling even if it screws up. Okay.
We're going to keep rolling, but
right.
To start, I'm going to ask about the details from ServiceNow. And this, eventually we will automate this, but what we're seeing here is we have a retailer who has an outage with their financial application. 24 users are impacted, and it flagged a Thousand Eyes alert. And so network performance is off. And so in a world now, you're going to different dashboards, you're looking around. So here's what I'm going to do.
So in a normal case, like Lizzie was saying, people would be running around to various dashboards to go find this data.
Yep.
Instead, here she's just saying, troubleshoot this ticket, and we're going to see all sorts of information gathered for the admin very quickly.
So what you're seeing here is that AI Canvas is using the deep network model to populate data to help start troubleshooting this ticket. We're seeing right here some data from Meraki that we have packet loss, and we're also seeing it continue here, and here's the loss percent. Thousand Eyes is bringing up a complementary chart, and we're seeing right here, this is where the source is of the packet loss. And then
so you're actually, these different cards are coming from different sources of data.
Correct. And with transparency, you can see which card they're coming from. We can also get data sources. So we want to make sure that it's completely transparent so the user can trust what they're seeing.
But this is one thing that our customers have constantly complained, saying, hey, I've got 15 different places I have to go to. And you've unified the management in a way that's actually completely discontinuous to what the others have done in the industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And here it also suggests remediations. It gives a few options. Now, since this is a network.
It's not just diagnosing, it's actually giving you the solves to the problem.
Correct. And as Sangeeta pointed out, if this was a real life and a tier 1 engineer, they might not have permissions to do this. So I could share it. This is what we talked about with our collaboration. And I could invite Ben, who's a tier 2 engineer, generate a summary, and then he will get the same board with this summary, so he's ready to go start troubleshooting and see what's going on.
By the way, Lizzie, do you know an easy way to manipulate me? Show me a demo in dark mode.
Dark mode?
Show me a demo in dark mode.
We might have planned for that. It's very inviting too, right? We've learned. So if Ben were to come to this board, he would have a blank AI assistant, but he would have all of this data, and he might say, I'm not sure if I really want to like just tackle the quality of service fix. So let's actually look at if I can look at the application requests with the packet loss and see if there's a correlation before I make a change. And so I can type it in natural language. And what's going to happen is we're going to go look at some Splunk data and some application logs and see if there's a correlation.
So here's an opportunity for the admin to say double check, add additional information that they want to in order to confirm before they actually take any steps to change network configuration.
The latency that it took over there, you folks are going to try to get that faster, but you'll also make sure that the user experience gets better. So if there's a it doesn't feel like it's hung, but you'll make sure that gets refined over time.
Yeah, and we also want to show what the assistant, what it's doing, right? So we want to say, here's what we're doing, because it is crunching a lot of data, and we have a very high bar for latency, because we want to make it like this, but
you might, in some cases, there's some long form thinking that might happen, and as that happens, you just need to show people what the chain of thought of reasoning is. Yeah.
And late breaking news, we don't have this in the demo, but that is already working in a dev environment.
What? Why are you not releasing it?
We are innovating every day.
Every day, yes.
That's awesome.
And what we're seeing here, by the way, is that our availability is going down and our packet loss is going up. So this does indicate that there's a problem. So what I want to do is actually fix this. So I'm going to implement the quality of service policy. So it's going to go in and it's going to apply the policy update. And the other thing you're going to see is we'll see how it's applied, but it also gives the user the ability to revert the change.
Oh, look at that. You just dragged and dropped that card.
Yep.
Right on.
So I can see here's the policy update I made. And this goes back to your CISO point, which is like, you want to know how we fixed it.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And you want to know exactly what we did. And so here, then I can also monitor and look at things over time. Like we'd want to see like what happens over time to see if this issue was fixed. And what I also like about this is this enables us to bring in some monitoring cards, but also have a static card. So we can see what happened when the issue occurred, but then we can also look at the monitoring over time, which we heard from our customers was important as well.
That's very cool. That's the demo, huh?
I'm not done yet.
You're not done.
But wait, there's more. So here, when you look at this, you can see that the packet loss goes down and the availability goes up. So that's good. And so if you were like, Lizzie, what happened in that store in Chicago? I could generate a report and it would give me a complete detail of what happened, not only so you would know, but so maybe we want to apply this policy in other places so it doesn't happen again.
That is amazing.
So you have, and it's all formatted, ready to send.
You can even download it as a PDF. Look at that.
You can. And your resolution and recommendations. So that's the demo.
And then you can share this.
Yep, I can share this, and I can share the board, and I can share
Can I share each card with someone, and can I share the entire board with someone?
Right now, it's the entire board, but we have talked about like how do we look at sharing different pieces based on permission.
Feature request already in.
Okay, it's in the backlog. Isn't that what every PM says? So that's the demo.
So Lizzie, when is this available by?
We're going to have early access for customers in August so we can start co-designing because that'll be a super important part of the process.
And just get some feedback.
Yeah, and iterate rapidly. Like that's our hope because that will increase our velocity to get it right the first time and get it out there.
Yep. And Sangeeta, you and I were talking about this backstage, but why is now the right time to do this? Why is it so important that we do it now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real interesting time where we are today. And you were asking me even earlier, are you most excited about this project? Absolutely. Some of the reasons are this. So first is we have the ability to build custom models today. Of course, our secret sauce is we have 40 years of proprietary data sets. But the AI techniques have advanced enough that Yuqing and team are able to build custom models to solve our problems. Now, these models need data in order to act on it. That's where MCP comes in, the Model Context Protocol. The Model Context Protocol has really been a game changer in how we can access data. In the past, it would have taken much longer to get data from different systems, custom workarounds, all of that. What MCP does is it's like the USB-C USB-C allows you to connect your devices to accessories.
Yep.
MCP similarly allows AI agents to access tools and data from various sources. So that is game-changing, and that has happened just recently. So that's the second thing. Finally, how do we present this data gathered in a way that's usable for users? And that's where generative UI comes in. With generative UI, we're able to generate dynamic, real-time, contextual widgets and charts that are specific to that particular troubleshooting incident. So with generative UI, we're able to meet the customer's needs. So it's a combination of these three things which didn't exist several
But on the generative UI, it's actually begs an interesting question, which is the philosophical design principles that you had to use to incorporate that in. How did you think about that?
Yeah, early on we established a handful of design principles, but one of the first ones that we focused on right away was no blank canvases, right? And we're working on that. We're going to get there, but the idea is that we want to meet the user where they're at. If we're sending a user from a ServiceNow ticket right into Canvas, right into AI Canvas, we have the information data we need to pre-populate that, right? We can provide that information up front.
Empty state is actually a very scary place for users to be.
100%, 100%. We want to make this as easy as possible, right? Yep. And when the time's right, as you mentioned earlier, Sangeeta, keeping the human in the loop, right? Like that's critical. Yep.
That's awesome. Hey, can I just tell you all should be really proud of what you've done. My only ask, move faster. Right? August, get something out, but we need to get this in customers' hands. Let's move as fast as we can. Let's make sure that we're constantly iterating on it, stay slightly dissatisfied. I think this is a really special moment in Cisco for what we've done here. So congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Jeetu.